Oh, sorry, please can you let me share my screen? Is there a chance you could let me have permission, or I'm just... Sorry, bear with me. I'm just having... Oh, okay, there. Apologies. Okay. Sorry, I don't normally use Teams too much, but great. Okay. So, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining today's session, today's workshop. So I'll just begin by showing some slides. So for introductions, my name is Max Moody. I sit within the customer success team at Moody's. I'm based in London, so based out of our Canary Wharf office. And yeah, that's a quick intro to me. Today we'll be covering the product ORBIS. And my role is to essentially make sure you get the most out of the tools you're using within your subscription. So that's a quick intro to me. Today's agenda. So firstly, I'll, as I am now, so talking through this PowerPoint, I'll give you an introduction into Moody's Analytics, so a bit of context to where Moody's came from and where we are now. And then we'll jump into the platform and I'll talk you through the relevant points of the system as well. So giving you an ORBIS overview and then going through the certain reports and functions within the tool that will help, of course, you use ORBIS to a better extent, hopefully. And then feel free to ask questions during the workshop today, but we will have time for a Q&A at the end as well. If you have any questions, feel free to keep them to the end or ask as we go through. So firstly, who are Moody's? So Moody's Corporation, we're a global integrated risk assessment firm that empower organizations to make better decisions, as it says there. There are two distinct business operations. So we have Moody's Analytics, which I work for, and then Moody's Investor Service. So Moody's Investor Service is the traditional line of business, been around for over 100+ years now, and we provide originally, that was the traditional line of business. So we provided investors with, credit ratings and so forth. So that was the original line of business, and then ever since then, we've been making sure business leaders have the right tools in place to navigate the ever-changing risks of the workplace. Leading to today, Moody's Analytics. So it's a global leading provider of, analytics, workflow solutions, and that is more of the recent side of the business, been around for over 5 years now, and that's the side of the business that I work for. But yeah, joint together, we serve customers worldwide, as it says here. Again, a bit more of a breakdown of the company. So you can see MA and what we provide, and then Moody's Corporation, which is the overall company, and then the MIS as well. So the different units of the business. Great. So to give some context of ORBIS. So ORBIS is an ever-growing database, comprehensive database of company information. So as you can see here, we have over 470 million companies and entities within ORBIS. So ORBIS is an ever-growing database. We're always adding data to it. So whether that's new data or the accuracy of data that's already in the system, it's continuously filled with new data. And you can see a breakdown of the types of companies and entities we have within the system as well. The real sticking point and kind of the unique selling point of ORBIS is the not so much of the companies that have public data and more accessible data. It's more around the private companies that are, of course, harder to reach and harder to pull this information on, as you can see here. So this, again, a breakdown of over 850,000 insurance companies, over the same for banks, over 7.6 million for non-bank financial institutions, and the rest here. So as I've said, so Orbis has over 450 million companies globally. The way we capture this data, which I'll touch on in the next slide as well, but this isn't purely from us. We do work with the best information providers for that jurisdiction. So as it says here, we work with currently over 170 information providers. And of course, as I said, they're best in their jurisdiction. So we're very data agnostic. We don't go for just one provider. We go for the best in that certain region. And this is where most of our data really comes from. So, it's a trusted source, and we partner with these information providers to power Orbis as well. Give a breakdown, 85% of our data comes from the IPs, so the information providers. 10% comes from our own sourced data, so Moody's analysts who are sourcing and scraping the web to find the information they can, and then 5% is publicly available. And we're not just providing the data in its raw format, so we do standardize the data. That meaning we're not just, it's not in its raw format, we make sure it's in the same format. So no matter what industry you're looking at or country that company is in, it's always in the same format. So it's nice and easy to compare, as it says here. So nice and very comparable data resource for private company information. To give a breakdown, as I was saying, so we pull the data from the information providers. This could come from many regulatory and other sources. We're always very transparent on where the data comes from. We always give, timestamps and the sources within the database, so you can always tell where this has come from, which time this has come from, and so forth. So it comes from many sources, and the way we treat and add value to it is within these few boxes here. Oh, sorry if I go back. So whether that's, as I said, standardizing the information so it's nice and easy to read, same format, or if it's creating unique identifiers. Unique identifiers are against every company in Orbis. So we have something called the BVD ID, which some of you may have already seen, and it's a unique identifier, unique way of tracking a company based on their country ISO code and then the company registration number. So hopefully that makes sense. A few different ways of insight into how we capture the data, treat it, and then visualize it as well. So the interface would be the way you view it via the web tool online, but then we have the different data feed integration methods as well. Perfect. So we have a few new features within the platform, which I'll touch on when I jump in, such as the new user guide. We have it in different languages as well, so not just English anymore. We have the video tutorials and the walkthroughs. So these are different ways you can build up your knowledge within the platform using the different learning side of Orbis. And that was a very just quick overview of Orbis, a bit of background on Orbis before we jump in. And are there any questions before I jump into Orbis here? Just take a short break. Feel free to write any questions in the box or ask them on camera. If that's fine, I can get started. Okay, great. So firstly, welcome to Orbis. So this is the page you land on when you sign in. For this workshop, so I'm signed into my account, so I'll have slightly different access than you. So just bear that in mind when I'm walking through, because I might have a few different chapters of information than you might have, just to keep in mind. But great, welcome to Orbis. The first page I always start off with is the help menu. to the blue question mark, click on that. And this is where you can come to if you're ever stuck on anything within the platform or looking to find out more information, or do the e-learning side, which I mentioned. So firstly, we have the what's new. The what's new is really good, so you can see, okay, how are we improving the database, which information is new, how are we increasing the coverage in certain jurisdictions. As you can see, okay, what have we added to ORBIS within the certain time periods and so forth. So you can come within there. So that's the what's new. And then so I'm just reading the question now. Sorry, I'll not sure if I fully understand your message. Could you maybe just try and ask me in another way? How do you mean the companies you the product you have contracted? I'll keep that open, but if you can just ask me again, I'll try and get back to you on that, Phil. Oh, apologies. Okay, so only European companies that you have within ORBIS. So yeah, you have the ORBIS Europe company set. So this means you can apologies. So ORBIS is a global database, but for your specific use case, it would just be European companies. So that means you have access to all the European companies that we have within the database. And yeah, I'll touch on that in a second as well. So just to finish off with the help menu, so we have the walkthroughs. These are really good bits of learning tools that you can use to build up your confidence of using the platform. And then we have the videos. So same functionalities, but in video format. And yeah, again, whichever you learn best in, you could go through one of these. And then lastly, we have the online guide. So again, you can choose which language you'd prefer to, of course, read this in. Click into the guide, and then this is where you can search for any keyword that you may be stuck on or be looking to find out more information on. For example, beneficial owner. Then tons of articles comes up, and then you can choose the article that you're looking to read further into as well. So that was just an example. And other than that, we have the training program, which is quite similar to the e-learning tools here, but these are different functions from basic, standard to advanced. And this again will help you get up to the speed of using the platform as well. Great. So that was the help menu. Again, just to touch on that, that's a really good place to come to if you're stuck on anything or looking to learn more on. Going to the left-hand side of the page here. So these are all of the different pages that you'll be using within the tool. So the orange bar indicates which page you're looking at. So right now we're in the search page. And this is where you begin all of your initial searches for companies. So whether that's an individual company, you would use the search bar. If you're looking for a group of companies, you could build a search using the different criteria here. And this is something we will build later in the call as well. But just to touch on that quickly, next we have the results. So when you're looking at a list of companies, you would be in the results page, i.e. top 10 companies within a certain region. In Spain, under a financial metric, so top 10 turnover companies in Spain and so forth. That would be with the results. The report, this is when you're looking at an individual company. So for example, Repsol or Telefonica, for example, that would be the report section. And then the tools. So the tools are where you can do a deeper dive into one company or a group of companies. So you could do that within here. There are many tools, and we can go over these later as well, such as the batch search. So you could upload a list of companies within the platform. You could look for contact information within a company like Repsol or someone to find out the contact information. You could do peer analysis, compare many statistics against different companies, and so forth. And just going through the remaining ones, we have the alerts. So whether you would like to be notified of any changes against Repsol or Shell or any companies, you can be made aware of that. So whether that's a change in company name, address, website name, etc., you could do that. Second to last, we have the exports. So any data you export to Excel will remain up to 2 weeks within here. So you can always come back here and just re-download it if you missed it for any reason. So that's the exports. And lastly, we have My Orbis. So My Orbis is configured to your account. This is where you can make your personal changes against your account again. So whether that's changes of how you view the data, which currency you're defaulted to, how you look at corporate structures, and so forth. Yeah, this is quite customizable, and of course, it only changes to your account, so don't worry with impacting anyone else. Yeah, quite customizable within here. And then just touching on the coverage. So you can see the coverage of the amount of companies within Orbis, so over 488 million. And you can see within Europe, so the ones that would be more specific to you, you could see, okay, how many companies do we have within a certain jurisdiction? So you could always come here and just have a look as well. Great. Let me know if there are any questions, but hopefully that's all clear. Before I jump into the next section, feel free to type if there are any questions, but we've covered the help section, and we've touched on the different pages that you'll be using within the platform. Now, all of the different pages that we'll touch on during the call today. Great, okay. And sorry if my headset comes, might have to put the battery in a second. I just heard it's gone low, but shouldn't cut out. Apologies if it does cut out in a second. But great. So firstly, we'll do the individual company search. So as I was saying, you can search within the search box up here. So you simply just type in the name of a company you're looking for. Feel free to write any boxes, any companies in the box below in the chat if you would like me to pull any up. But essentially, type in a company name. What it does, it brings back the list of results against what you've typed in. So you can see all of the companies that have returned, and the way they're ranked is by turnover and number of employees. The reason for this is to give you the best chance of finding that company that you're looking for, and ultimately giving you the best kind of companies back, so the best match search. So I've just typed in the company name, and then a way of filtering it is by doing a comma and typing in the company name and then the country. This is a way of filtering it to narrow down the search before adding different criteria in the middle of the page. So you can see before I did that, it's brought back company in Germany, Peru, Chile, Brazil. But if I, of course, filter it down, this is a quicker way of just filtering the search here. Once you're happy with the company you're looking for, you can just click into it, or if you can't find it, you can click on select all search results, And this will bring all of the companies that come under Telefonica in Spain to here. You can view the results, and then you could perhaps work through the list to find the company that you're looking for. Or you could further narrow it down by using the different criteria here, which we'll touch on as well later in the call. But yeah, just for this example, I'll quickly just click into the correct one. Telefonica. As soon as I click into the company, the first page we land on is the report page. So the report page is the landing page, and it's the key information page that you land on first. So this page is a really good start-off page because this gives you a good overview of Telefonica for this example. You can see the key information, such as the date of incorporation, the activity, website address, and so forth. And yeah, this is essentially a good page showing all the different widgets of information against this company in widget format. So we can see the financial information here. We can see the consolidated financial line items. If I scroll down, we can see the financial strength summary. So we can see quantitative, the qualitative, and so forth, and the financial risk review. So what scoring's been given for quantitative and qualitative again. And yeah, you can just scroll down and see the different bits of information that is available. Great. So then I can quickly go through the financials. So this is the key financials and employees. So again, you can see the key financials for this company. You can see all the different years of financial statements that have been registered. So you can see what's available here. And then for any links that are blue, these are the ratios. So you're able to click onto them and see how we got to this number here. So you can see what division was made against which metrics as well. Moving on to the global standard format. So this is a way of standardizing the data. So no matter what company you're looking at or what country they're in, this is always the same. So again, it's a nice, easy way of comparing from company to company. It's very comparable. So for here, we have the balance sheet, total assets, profit and loss, and so forth. Another way of viewing this could be the go-to section. So if you're looking for a specific section, you could always click on this, and that'd bring you straight to the specific section. If this was too much data, you could always add or remove columns. So this allows you to either shorten the amount of columns or add the amount of columns there. So for example, I could remove all of these and then only select the years that you were specifically looking for. So for example, it could be the last 3 years and choosing the different variables as well. But for this example, I'll keep it nice and simple. Click on that and then like that. So the add or remove columns are a way to customize and just make it a bit more condensed when you're looking at certain pages of information. And then we have the different filtering options up here. So whether that's consolidated, unconsolidated, and which order they're in as well. Great, so that's there. Then we just have a few, I won't spend too long on these, but just the different financials as well, so the ratios. So again, you can click on each one and see how they're worked out. Graph value over time, so you can use up to 1 variable to have that within the graph, and then you can have up to 5 within the graph indices. So you can have up to five variables here to compare against. Great. And then talking about a tool. So one of the tools could be the peer comparison tool. So this is a really good way of seeing the competitors of companies that you're looking at, perhaps, if this would be useful for some of you. So you could see, okay, who are the top 10 nearest competitors based on their industry and also based on turnover as well, which you can see here, based on turnover and based on their industry NACE code. So their NACE classification code is 6190, and yeah, you can see that there. So the default is the top closest 10 international companies based on turnover for the last year, but you can play around with this as well. So you could be the top 20, top 5, and so forth, or closest, and then international or national companies as well. So of course, for your case, it would be European companies or just national companies within Spain for this example. And yeah, you can customize the variables here as well. Just to finish on, the white columns are the financial metric, so the financial numbers, but then the grey column is where they rank against their competitors, essentially. So you can see they're not doing too well. They're ranked 7th against the other companies here for this turnover. So you can see they're probably not the best amongst their peers, but yeah, this is where you can kind of read that and see, okay, maybe Vodafone is up there in terms of most, except from number of employees, but yeah, just to help you interpret that. And then going down to the financial risk review. So we quickly looked over this, so the financial risk summary. So this is where you can see the kind of credit worthiness of a company within this section. So the financial risk summary here. So the more score and the reactive and qualitative. This is the overview of what's to come. So we can see, okay, the more score. So this is the multi-objective ratings evaluation. And you can see the probability of default. So when the likelihood of them being able to default on their payments within the next year. The credit limit, so how much they're likely to be limited as a maximum of how much credit they should be given. And then also on the speedometer, where they kind of rank within the risk of lending. Quite interesting with the evolution over time. So you can see, okay, where they're ranking now, and also what's influenced or impacted their result as well, their scoring. I mean, so you can see what's got worse and what's probably got a bit better and so forth since 2019. The reactive, this is more based around their country they're based in, their industry and so forth, sector. Yeah. So again, quite similar, and you can see what's affected that, and so forth. Then lastly, the qualitative score. So this is based on non-financial features, more around kind of the ownership and management. And yeah, again, quite similar with how you can view these over time. And yeah, that was just a quick overview of the financial risk review. And then just to touch on the ESG risk side of things. So we're talking about how we can manage all types of risks for our customers. So the ESG risk review, again, the speedometer. And of course, it stands for environmental, social, and governance. But this is broken down into quite a few actual departments. So for this company, you can see, okay, how do they score against all of these different departments? As you can see here, there are quite a few. But great. I just wanted to show that. I won't spend too long on this. This is where you can see the company values are and where they're against the scoring system as well. Great. And then coming down to the ownership side of things. So the kind of KYC module, the ownership structure. So if I actually start off with the current shareholders. So this is where you could see, okay, the current shareholders of this entity, for example, and who the current shareholders are on a first level basis. So you can see there are quite a few shareholders for this entity here, Telefonica. You can see there are 6 pages worth of 25 on each page, roughly. And then we have something called the legend at the bottom here. So this really helps interpret what you see up here. It defines the different acronyms and different symbols as well that you may see. So this can always help just, yeah, understand what you're looking at. We have the filter options. You can filter by, okay, which shareholders would I like to see? Is it shareholders just in Spain, just in a certain industry, listing status, public or private, and so forth. So quite customizable there. And that could be a way of limiting the results or narrowing down. So that's the current shareholders. If I go into the controlling shareholders, this is where you would normally be able to see, okay, leading up to the GUO, which is the global ultimate owner of the corporate group. But for this case, they are the GUO, so they kind of own themselves. This is where you'd be able to see the controlling shareholders leading up to that control path. So for this example, not as applicable, but you can see this for different entities as well. Beneficial owners, so people with an interest in the business with a significant amount of control. These are people that you may want to know about, of course, depending on how much control or percentage they have. And this is customizable in My ORBIS. So this is where you can define what percentage you like to have in the background in order to pick up the correct people, or beneficial owners in here. So if I quickly just show you My ORBIS and then go to corporate structure, then you can click on the beneficial owner and you can play around with the numbers here. So you just leave that at 5% on the first level, and that would of course pick up anyone that has over 5%, but if you had it at 15%, and then someone had 14% at the first level, it wouldn't pick up. So you really just need to take into account what would be the right level for your level of risk, or yeah, what you're looking for. Great, so I'll just go back to the report, and that's the beneficial owners. Then we have the corporate group. So because the GUO is itself, these are all of the subsidiaries that are ultimately owned by Telefonica. Okay, apologies. I'm just checking, is my... Sorry, I'm just checking, is my microphone still working, or do I have to switch it to... Apologies for this, I'm just checking if... Okay, I think it's working. Okay. Okay, great. Apologies about that. So, corporate group, as we were saying, this is all the subsidiaries that are owned by the GUO. So for this case, it's Telefonica. And And you can see there are quite a few companies within the corporate group, but again, you can filter this by the tab here, and then you could filter it by location they're in, size, type again, and so forth. Hopefully that's quite easy to do, so it's quite kind of intuitive. And yeah, that's the corporate group. Lastly, for this section, it will just be the ownership structure. So we can see, okay, from a visual representation, again, this probably isn't the best example because it's such a massive line of ownership with all the different shareholders. But you can see all the owners here, well, for this case, shareholders. But then you could change this around by the corporate group if you're looking at that, the subsidiaries or beneficial owners. And again, you could customize within there. And also, we always have this as well on most pages, so you can, again, just understand what you're looking at and see all the different symbols. So that's the GUO cap, the crown, the flags for identifying risk, so like a risk relevant name, or a risk event attached to that company. And yeah, so that's roughly all of that for this page. Feel free to ask any questions if you have any, just type any in the box as well. I'll keep an eye on them. If I haven't made sense of anything, just, we still have time, so just feel free to ask. If anything wasn't clear or if I didn't, if I missed anything out as well. But now I will touch on the different way you can search for a company. So using the search criteria. Perfect. So we search for a company within the search box. So this is how you search for an individual company. But when you're looking to search for multiple companies that fall within a bracket, this would be the best way. So firstly, we could search for companies in a certain region. So you could search by country, you could do political regions or geographical, which would make really a bit more sense. For your example, again, we could just use Europe examples, Western and Eastern Europe, or even just the one, because that's quite a few companies still. Click OK. And then this would bring the search down. Again, I have access to all the global database, but yours would just be the European database. But yeah, just for demo purposes, sorry, let's just keep it like that. So first, we do the location, then we could do the NACE code, so the industry classification code that the country has registered itself under. So for example, I could do manufacture of beverages, or for this case, actually, we do the telecoms. Like that. Select the industry, and then you could see it's narrowed down the search to quite a sparse amount of companies already. And you can see how the search is building up as well. So using the thing we call the Boolean search, the Boolean search is a way of adding, including or excluding the search steps here. So right now we're including all of them. So 1, active companies, 2, within a location, 3, within this classification. And if I click on this is a good way to understand it as well. So the Boolean allows you to use and, or, not, and not, and so forth, in a way of combining the search. So if I was looking for companies that are active and within this Eastern Europe, but not within this classification, I could do and not number 3. Click on the refresh, and this would reverse the number of companies. So you can see it's much more, many more companies now within that result. But yeah, let me go back to how that was, and that brings it back down. So anytime you make a change, just click on the refresh, and that will work. Great. And then we could do maybe the financials as well. So if you're looking for specific financials of a company, the default variable is turnover. So you can change the variable to anything you like, but yeah, you could keep it as turnover. You can choose which line item you'd want. So companies with a certain value, growth rate, rate of decline, positive or negative trend. You can change the unit, you can change the currency, and you can choose the time period as well. So whether that's relative or absolute, you could choose which year specifically you'd like to be brought up, and also how strict you are. So companies that have all of these financial statements, or just at least one of them. For this example, I'll just do the top 25 companies. Wait for that to load. Hopefully this shouldn't take too long. There we go. Okay, so there's only 16 that came back, but we'll keep it like that for now. And then we won't narrow it down any further, but hopefully you get the idea of you can keep narrowing down the search, make it specific to what you're looking for to give you a nice list of companies that you could be looking for. Okay, so 22. And then when you're happy with all of these steps, happy with the number here, you can view the results. And this is where you can view the companies in list format and the different bits of information, columns of information on the right-hand side here. If you add or remove columns, this is a way of, adding more data or specific data that you'd like to see. So again, you could remove all of these and then just add the data that you'd like. So whether that's financial data, so forth. Again, like that, and then you could add specific data such as just maybe companies with a website address, so forth. Click apply, and this will change the list view that you're looking at. And you can always save this as a test view, so that when you click on the drop down, you could select the view that you're looking for and just bring that back up as well. So it's there, yeah. So I can just open it back up and then click on that one. But yeah, I'll go back to the preview. I'll leave it. Okay, I'll leave it like that. And then yeah, once you found a company you're looking for, again, you can just click into a company like that. But if I go back to the company that I was already looking at, so if I go back to Telefonica, type in the company name, click on the company report again, and this will pull up the report page. So I've talked around how to build a list of companies now, but now I'll tell you how to set the alert configuration on a company. So there are two ways actually to do this. So one way is by clicking on the alert button here, so add or remove alert, and then a pop-up should come up saying, would you like to make edit the settings now or later? just wait for that to pop up. Or you can set it from the list view as well. Okay, so it's being a bit slow, but it's not bringing the pop-up. But essentially, once you've added an alert, you can go to the alerts page, and then this is where you can customize the alert that you would like to be notified of. So if I click into the settings, and then again, you can choose what you'd like to be alerted on. So is that a change in the company name, a change in the email address, and so forth? This is what you'd be alerted on. You have the choice to add this criteria to here. So move it from the left to the right just by clicking into it and then clicking on the plus, and that would bring that into the alerts. So when there's a change in the GUO, you'll be made aware. And then you can choose on what frequency you'd like to be alerted as well as which emails this will be sent out to. And when you're happy with that, you can click on save, and that would be saved. And any changes against this will be emailed to you as soon as there's a change and it's updated within the system. Perfect. If I quickly go back, let me know if there are any questions just whilst I'm going back quickly to the results I brought up. So if I quickly just build out this search again. Okay, so I'll just quickly do a real simple one of top 25 companies within Western Europe based on turnover. Great. If I quickly just show you in the results page how you can export these. So we have multiple tools up here, buttons up here, so you can click on the save if you're looking to save this list of companies, or if you're looking to export them, you can just click on the Excel and this would export them just how they look here, but in an Excel. So that's one way that you can export them. You can always cancel out of this whilst that's being done. If I go to the exports, this will show me what stage it's currently at and the percentage. So it's being a bit slow today. But yeah, essentially this is where you can always come to check on the progress of a export. So great. Just checking if what else there is to cover. Okay, great. So that's downloaded. Quickly download this just to show you what this looks like. So firstly, it shows the search strategy. So which search steps I put in, and then the results. So again, quite similar to how it looked within the platform, but yeah, just in Excel format, so you can view them like that. Good question. So we just had a question about, is there a maximum number of data that we can export? So I presume you mean, is there a limit on how many you can export at one time? Or maybe if it's more around your contractual side of question, I wouldn't, apologies, I don't know the one at a time. Oh, one at a time, there's no limit. I don't believe so anyway, but I mean, I presume you wouldn't want to be exporting, thousands and thousands at one time, because it would take quite a long time. There's no real limit in terms of that. But yeah, hopefully that answers your question. It's not like a 500 limit or something. It's quite a high number. I don't know the exact number it would really cut off at, but I don't think it'd be anything, yeah, ridiculous in terms of how many you can export. But yeah, no, it's should be able to handle quite a few, quite a large list of companies. No worries. So also, I know I touched on this briefly earlier, but we have the in the tools section here, we have something called the batch search. So the batch search is where you can upload up to 1,000 companies at one time. So say if you have a list of companies and you want to check if they're in ORBIS, you can upload them via here. So it's just choosing the file on your laptop or computer, uploading it, and then putting it in the system. So that's one way of doing that. I'll quickly just show you what this looks like, just in case it's useful for anyone. So that's the information I plugged in to my Excel sheet, which I'll quickly just show you as well, just to give you an indication of what it looks like. So it's a really simple Excel sheet. You can see just company name. I've put subjects in there or headers, and then the information below. And yeah, that's essentially what I've filled out. You just have to match the headers with the column of information, click apply, and then this would search for those companies within the database. And then right now we're just searching for those companies that were, for this example, in your list, and you're just checking if they're within ORBIS. There we go. And then again, when you're happy with that, you could find the correct company you're looking for, or you could edit the company name. But if you're happy with that, you can click on view results, and this will bring you back to the list of results, and you can export them from here as well. But just to show you that, yeah, I think that's everything I wanted to show. So just to cover again, we touched on the question mark. So this is where you can come to if you're ever stuck on anything. A really good place to find out what's new within the system database. The learning side of the tools, so the walkthroughs, recorded videos, training program, and then the different pages we touched on. So the different pages you'll be using within ORBIS. We talked about how to search for individual companies within the, so I'll just refresh that, within the bar here, search bar, how to search for a group of companies within the different criteria below here. We talked for how to use the Boolean search, the different ways you can include or exclude the searches. We talked around the alert configuration, so how to set alerts for companies and how to be notified of them. We talked around the peer comparison tool, so how to look at close competitors of an industry or entity, specific company you're looking for. Yeah, talked around different tools like the ownership structure, looking at the shareholders, talked around the financials of companies, how to export a list of companies, and how to build custom list views as well. I think that's everything I wanted to cover. I appreciate it was quite high level to an extent. I mean, yeah, you could spend ages talking around this system, but hopefully I covered everything that was, useful and the main key points that I wanted to cover. Are there any questions? I appreciate we still have some time, so feel free to type in any questions if you have any before I go. Again, if anything wasn't clear or if I missed out anything, yeah, feel free to ask me now. I'll just wait around for a few minutes if there are any questions, and then if not, we can always end it there. Yeah, feel free to ask if there are any questions now. Okay. Perfect. Well, yeah, thank you everyone for your time. Appreciate everyone's time today. Hopefully it's been useful for you, because I know you're probably all at different levels of using the system. But yeah, if there aren't any more questions, have a great rest of your day, and I'll stay around in case there are any questions. But yeah, you feel free to drop off if it's okay with Nuria. And yeah, thank you very much again. Take care, everyone. No worries. Okay, so the question is there a quick way to use the contact information? Okay, is there a quick way to use the contact information of some companies to send a massive emailing? Okay, so good question. Hopefully I can answer that if I understand correctly. So firstly, I'll go back to this example. So Telefonica, you always have to have a company that you've searched in order to use the tools. Otherwise, the tools won't know who to use them against. But so find a company, go to the tools section. If I go to the contact tool, click on go to, create new, and then okay, sorry. Okay. Do you mean in the sorry, if I go back. Is your question more around if there's a column that has contact information in? Like, is there a contact column? I'm just trying to understand what you mean. Yeah. Okay, so you have a list of companies and you want to contact all of them. Okay. Oh, okay. So you got a list of companies and we want to contact all of them. It's a good question. Okay, so you have the option to go into the contact information and then go down to the email address. We have drag and drop functionality, so you can drag this up to the top, click apply, and then this would have the email address here. Hopefully that's quite straightforward, but essentially if I had more companies here, this would be there's not a way to really do emailing from here, but you could have a list of companies within here, export them like we did previously. And then the quickest way would really be just to view this in an Excel, copy and paste the whole column, copy and paste it into the Outlook. Yeah, copy and paste, and then yeah, that should be the quickest way. Again, I only have one company here, but this is pretty much the same for if there are more. You could just do like that, remove this one. For example, like that, click and paste, type that into the Excel, into Outlook, and then yeah, that's one way to do that. So hopefully that answers your question. That should be quite straightforward. Yeah, let me know if that makes sense. Oh. So essentially, yeah, you could do it like that. Just to quickly show you, yeah, like that, and then yeah, not the best example, but yeah, that should work like that. Great, so I'll discard that. Great, no worries. Okay. Perfect. No worries. Are there any other questions? Feel free. Great. Thank you very much. Feel free to, yeah, no worries if you're dropping off now. Appreciate your time as well and your question. Thank you. Okay, great. Well, if there aren't any questions, I'll finish it there. Thank you everyone again, and enjoy the rest of your afternoon. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.